Hola, you are listening to First Gen Healing, a podcast on Latinx healing and awakening journeys. My name is Priscila Luna. I am your host, and I'm going to let today's guest introduce herself. Mujer, let us into your world.
Hi, my name is Leslie Cruz. I'm from Guatemala and I'm the owner of SAVIAGUATE. Um, I sell handcrafted items made by Mayan women in Guatemala. But what I really like to say when I introduce my business is I'm not just selling you this top or these beautiful earrings. I'm just sharing my culture and telling you about these beautiful pieces and how they are made. And if you like
Mm.
my energy, you feel inclined to come and make a purchase from my shop.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I've actually seen your content and you show yourself like getting the pieces and a little bit of a
The
background.
market,
Yeah, the
which is
markets.
my favorite part, going to the markets. That's
Oh,
my favorite thing to
yeah.
do.
Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and maybe where you're from? I know you just said you're from Guatemala, but give us a little bit more.
Okay, so I'm from a small, like tiny little village in Guatemala, and I'm the eldest of two. I have a
Okay.
sister, which she's 4 years younger than me.
Mm,
Single mother. So I grew up raised pretty much by my aunt and my grandma because my mother stayed in the village. I had to move to the city to go to a private school.
mm,
So that's my story. I have like three different moms. And I moved to the States when I was 20. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. 29. 29.
is that a move that you made on your own?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't have family here, and yeah, I just came along.
Wow. Okay. So you moved here when you were 29. Do you resonate more with a healing journey or an awakening or both? What would you say?
I think it's both because to be able to have a healing journey, you have to have an awakening moment, right? Like where you go, and then
Mm,
that's where the process really starts.
mm-hmm.
So awakening, I think I had a couple of awakening moments that actually felt like they turn into stages of my life. And
Mm.
from there, I started my healing journey, and that's an ongoing thing.
Got it. I love that you say that. And actually, you're not the first one to say it that mentions like awakening is kind of different stages of life, and healing is a maybe a thread that connects all of them, right?
Yes. To
Ooh,
me,
I
the
love that.
awakening is that la cachetada, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, awaken, despierta. Like, this is going on. Like,
Yeah.
just open your eyes. You need to pay attention to this. And
Yeah.
that's when you start taking action. Ideally, you start taking action.
Correct. Yes, because you can still go through that and be like, no, I'm not ready for action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So maybe tell me the first cachetada you got from the universe that you were like, I something's got to change.
It's really weird to say, but I think this started at a very early in my life because I remember when I was little, maybe. So I moved to the city in Guatemala when I was 7. But before that, I remember thinking, I don't want to be like this.
Mm,
I need to change some things. I don't want to be sad all the time. I don't want to be angry all the time. But I still don't know if. Well, I think I know. Um, they were always telling me that I had this bad temper, que era contestona, that don't talk back, and why
mm,
you're always fighting, and you're a mean person. No one's gonna love you. So I wanted to change because I wanted to belong, and I didn't
mm,
want to spend my life alone. So it was a lot of conditioning, but at the same time, deep inside me, at that very early age, I knew I was sad. There was something else
mm,
because often I have this this conflict of, I will spend time with people, I get really sad or really angry, and I wasn't fighting, and I didn't want to be mean. It's just now I know I'm an empath, so I get a lot
Mm,
of the people's energy, but I
yeah.
didn't understand that. So I thought I was just a mean person, a really bad person.
Wow.
And that's I remember when I moved to the city and I went to this school, they had a psychologist. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna fix me. I've heard about psychologists. That's what they do, right? They fix you. So I started going to therapy, and yeah, since I was 7, 8, on and off, different therapists, and
Mm-hmm.
it worked. But I felt like I kept, I always reach a dead end. Like after that, we just kept going on circles, and there wasn't any improvement.
I think one thing that stood out is from a very young age, you felt something was off. And I think that that's something that can happen to a lot of us, but we put it off, right? We're like, oh, okay, it's just like either we start blaming ourselves and think that we're wrong, or we start blaming the world. And so it's kind of like
Mhm.
starting to play that blame game because we don't have the name for what we're experiencing or
Uh-huh.
the words, right? So
Yeah.
the second thing that stood out is that you were an empath.
But
And
I didn't know.
of course, yeah. I think, empathy and being an empath is I don't know if it's a new term, but I just feel like it's more known now than ever before, right?
Yes, it is.
Um, and the fact that you were maybe open to, especially living in a small town, a lot of energies that you were maybe managing without even knowing it.
It was overwhelming. I
Mm,
kept questioning myself, like, why? Why do I get mad?
mm,
Why do I cry? And when they will be having lunch at home, I was in my room crying, and they're like, ah, leave her alone. She's mad again. And
mm.
I cry more, thinking I'm not mad. I just don't know what's going on with me. I'm not fighting with you guys. It's just I don't know. I cannot handle this emotion.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And often being misunderstood is a big part of it all, too, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so when
Definitely.
you started working with I think you said it's a psychologist, did they have the language for it or not yet?
Okay. Because back then I used to blame my mom a lot because she used to treat me like really bad. Like just hit me with whatever she could find,
Mm,
burn my hands, or just really mean comments about my personality and how I was a piece of beep,
mm,
and
mm-hmm,
just things like that. So what I would say is, I'm always sad because my mom treats me like this because she hits me all the time. She blames me for things I didn't do, I don't do. So we work around that relationship, like, oh well, she has a lot on her shoulders, and she's a single mom, and it often felt, and that's very common in our culture, it often felt like I had to feel guilty
yeah,
instead of trying to find a relief or help. I had to feel guilty for feeling this way about my mom because she was working
mm,
hard. She was busy. She was suffering too. I'm like, yeah, but what about me? I studied psychology. And when I
mm,
was reading all these books and going to classes, I kept thinking, what kind of therapist I had back then? Like they screw me. It's like they didn't
mm,
help me at all.
mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
just crazy.
Yeah, it sounds more like some of us experience here in the States. It's the same message, right? Your parents are doing so much for you. They're
Be
working really
grateful.
hard. You have to be grateful and insert the guilt weight that comes in at a very young age. And so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
then feel like I shouldn't complain or I have no reason to or everyone. And so you kind of got that same message but from someone that was there to, in a way help you. So how
Help you.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you have someone, like, in terms of a support team or support system? You were eldest of two, so I know that already puts pressure on you as the eldest,
Uh,
daughter of a single mother. So who was there for you growing up?
mm, that really understood? No one, not even the therapist. My
Mm,
grandma was always there, and she was always Team Leslie instead of Team
mm,
Mama, but she didn't understood either. I mean, she didn't understand that it was more than just something emotional and psychological. She
mm-hmm,
always thought your mom is really mean. Yeah, she is mean. You don't deserve this. And she will hug me and kiss me, but that was it, right? My
mm,
friends didn't understand it because they always look at me as the pretty one with a nice body, dressing cute because my aunt was a seamstress for many years. So she always made me these cute dresses, and I was
mm,
always wearing cute shoes, and so that's how they saw me. Like, you pretty little thing, you
mm,
have it all. I didn't have it all, but that's how they saw me, right?
right.
And why do you cry so much for this? Oh yeah, your mom is mean. She's kind of mean. Yeah, we don't like her either, but I just get over it. Like, it's nothing. And there's one, we're still friends after so many years. Um, she used to make fun of me saying, okay, when we were gonna go play or do something and they couldn't find me, they go, ay, está donde el psicólogo. She's probably there talking crap about her mom. And they were always making jokes about me
Oh,
going to therapy because they didn't believe in that.
right. Yeah. They probably had no idea what it was.
No, it's like I had the support, but at the same time, they didn't quite understood the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of sometimes what you see from the outside is enough for people to judge you, right? So, for example,
Yeah,
for you, they saw your physique or maybe the way that you dress, and they were like, she's doing better than us in some way, so she has no reason to complain, right?
she should be
And
thankful.
she should be thankful, yes. In my situation, so I grew up with my parents are both one of six. So my dad has five siblings, my mom has five siblings.
Wow, what a
Yeah,
coincidence.
yeah. And so they were actually one of, in each family, they were one of the first to come to this country. And
Okay,
so they were the ones that were helping their families come to this country,
providing and
providing and housing, right? So in my home, it was always like, oh, meet your tia. She's coming with her whole family. Like, and she just came from Mexico.
there'll be more
Um,
of us and
yeah.
more of us and more of us.
Yeah, like the casa from Encanto. There was just like a lot of
Yeah,
family.
cada puerta saca 20 people, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the thing that happened in my experience is that they worked really hard. Both of them always had two or more jobs. And so since they were the ones who I guess supported their family in a way, we got, let's say, the bigger room or the bigger like space in the house, right? And so my family members always looked at us like las consentidas or the ones that have it all. But in retrospect, it's like I had my parents the least than they did because my parents were the ones out there working, right? And so
Uh-huh.
even though everything looked better, I didn't even have like parental presence, let's say. So,
Yeah, they weren't there because they were too busy providing.
yeah,
I mean, working so they could provide for
exactly.
the rest
Yeah.
of the family.
Yeah. So, such an interesting, just like a connection point, right? Like sometimes what you see from the outside is not how it feels from the inside.
No, especially now that we have this monster called social media, it's
Mm.
just that's a different. Like I always say, that's a topic for another coffee. Porque it's just a lot. You see something, and then when you meet people in real life, you realize, yeah, it's the complete opposite of what you see on the screen, right? So
Right.
it's kind of like always judging for what you see.
Mm-hmm. So, as then started going to private school and started maybe growing up a little bit more, what was one of the next big moments that you feel had an impact in your personal healing?
Well, I had this boyfriend, my first formal boyfriend. I was I thought I was so in love. Though I was like 19. We were together from I think when I was 14 to 19, so 5, 6 years around that. So I thought that was love, right? I was in love. That was my first love. We were gonna get married, and 5 days before the wedding, he broke up with me,
Hmm.
and I died. It was like the worst thing ever. I got depressed. Um, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to shower. I didn't shower for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
I was just crying all the time. I lost so much weight, and my family got worried, and that's when they decided to make an appointment for me to go to a therapist.
Oh.
And she was actually really good. I think that that's the only good psychologist I actually saw.
Okay.
So she touched the subject about me suffering so much for this guy because in a way, that was the first male who gave me love because I grew
Mm.
up without a father figure, right?
Mhm.
And he gave me structure, he gave me love, he hugged me, he kissed me, he protected me.
Mhm.
And I started understanding that the having a father thing, I never thought about it because it was like that's very common in my village, like just
Okay.
having a single mom and all your friends are like that, have single
Mm.
moms. So I never thought about, oh, I miss my father, I want to be close to my father, or never crossed my mind. So when she mentioned that, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot of work to do in that area. But I still didn't quite understood the importance of. It's just that was an awakening moment, like like we said, but
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it. And
Okay.
then a couple of years later, I had another relationship. The guy was super nice. His family was just a dream. Mom, dad, and
Mm.
then siblings, and we used to go to the beach together. It was beautiful. But he wanted to get married, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I have to do. But I don't know.
Mm.
And then in therapy, I discovered that what I really liked about this guy was his family, not him. I
Wow.
mean, yeah, I like him, but I didn't love him enough to marry him.
Yeah.
I like his family, just that perfect structure, right? Mamá y papá, los hijitos.
Hmm.
And again, I'm like, okay, yes, that's what you're lacking, that connection, that father figure that we weren't really close in my family. Like they were too busy working, like you said, with your family, right?
Yeah.
We really didn't spend much time together, and the time we spent together was just to so they could criticize me for being mad or being sad.
Yeah.
So those were two moments where I'm like, yeah, I need to work on this. I need to work on this.
So interesting. And that in a way for you it was relationships that kind of kept bursting, right? Like you into, hey, something is up.
And it's
Okay.
very interesting how, and I always tell this to my friends, like different crises we go through, like money, work, um, health, and the emotional part. When I have a partner, it's what kills me. If I lose it, when I lost my job years ago, I was very scared. Like, what am I gonna do? And I managed to survive and to thrive, and now I'm really happy with my business. And okay, so I did it. When I get sick, it's like, okay, I'm so against the medical system here, but that's for another coffee too. But I'm like, okay, I need to do something. Okay, pa, 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 pa. So I managed. I always manage to handle the situation, and in many different crises, I'm like, okay, let's just do it. But if it's something romantic, if it's a relationship, if it's a friendship, I feel like I'm gonna die. It's just,
Mm,
and I start crying and I lose it completely because I
yeah.
think it's the end of the world. Like,
Mm,
they don't love me. They don't love me anymore. She's not gonna call me. We're not gonna go to this concert anymore because we're gonna have to cancel the trip because she said this. And my other friends tell me, no, she just said she didn't like this. So you see how I always go back to, for example, at home when I was a little girl, if I break a glass or something, they will tell me, they will call me stupid, piece of shit, no one's gonna love you, you're gonna die alone.
wow.
So now, at 44 years old, goes back to that. When my friends tell me, well, I didn't like how you did this and that, I'm like, we're gonna have to cancel the trip. She doesn't want to be my friend anymore. Because
Mm,
that little girl feels like you're not gonna be loved. You know,
right.
they don't want.
Yeah.
You're a piece of shit. They don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also bringing up the fact that you're an empath,
Hmm.
because now that we know empathy and it's more known, I mean, I consider myself an empath too. So I can definitely resonate in that we, I don't think we like are over dramatic, but we can feel stuff very deeply,
It's like
right?
it magnified.
It's magnified more than maybe even someone else feels it. And so, like, when a friendship breaks, we see it beyond, like, how am I never going to know about how they're doing and if something goes wrong? And
Uh-huh.
when they leave, like, whatever we can see
Yeah.
beyond, and they may just be like, oh, like, whatever, they may not feel it the way that we're feeling it. And
No, they
so
never do.
they never do. Yeah.
And
I
on top of that, I'm Aquarius. So, we're
Okay.
very dramatic and I was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's crazy.
Wow.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm very intense, good and bad, very intense.
When I think of empathy, the layers that it brings and the emotional world is an invisible world, let's say. And so that's why I
Yes,
think it's so tough to navigate because
you
it's never
cannot
black
touch
and
it.
white. Yeah. It's never
Uh-huh.
black and white. It's never crystal clear what's happening. How interesting. And also, the fact that the relationships were kind of the connecting string for you that maybe directed your path, it sounds like.
Yes, yes,
Mm,
definitely.
okay.
Yes.
And so, what would you say is the next big moment? You were almost going to marry, then you didn't. You found someone with a beautiful family, not necessarily the guy. So, how was that breakup with the family? Because I
It
don't.
was really hard
Mm,
for both. I mean, not for my boyfriend. A week after, he already had someone else. So you know how men are. Yeah, it's really easy for most of them. So, but for his family and me, I remember very clearly the night I came to say goodbye. I'm like, okay, we are going to break up. I'm gonna break up with him, but I'm really sad because of you guys, and blah blah
mm,
blah. We all cry, and I remember how his father said, "You know what? You are very ambitious, and you're great." And he was really nice.
mm-hmm,
Um, but if you stay in this relationship, you're gonna get stuck for the rest of your life. Run, run, and don't ever look back. You always
wow.
gonna have us, our love, our support. But he's not very ambitious. He's lazy. He's this, and you're meant to do big things. And if you stay with
Mm,
him, that's not gonna happen because you're
what
gonna
a
start having kids.
blessing.
Da, da, da. Yes, and always until now, like 20 some years later, we're still friends.
How
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so you ended
Yes.
up you ended up keeping contact with them.
I kept the family. That's what I wanted. I kept the family.
How
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. We text each
Mm,
other, and when I go to Guatemala, we meet, and yeah, it's really nice. When I do meditations, I always my soul always takes me back to that piece of land,
mm,
and it wasn't until recently that I made the connection. Well, yeah, that's when I started feeling actually loved and protected and,
Mm.
supported.
So tell me a little bit about your professional or your work life. Did you always know you were going to want to end up having your own shop and that was the goal for you? Or how did that evolve for you as you were going through your own life?
I was, I think I was 4 years old. I started making little dresses for Barbies. And mind
Mm.
you, I back then I didn't own a Barbie, and and I don't think anyone in my town had one. I don't know how I knew about Barbie dolls,
Mm.
but I was making dresses, putting them in little bags, and we used to bring this little table in front of our house and just display my dresses and sell them. I don't know why or
Wow.
how people were buying them. Maybe they thought, oh, it's cute, right? This little girl just selling dresses. And I always like selling stuff. I
Mm.
never thought about having a business because, well, they always told me I needed to be a doctor, a lawyer, an architect, or something big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Important. And selling is just to survive.
Mm.
So no, never thought about having my own business. But in some way or another, I always had my little side hustle, and it was also always about selling something, always. So I became a teacher in Guatemala. There's this short career, like you become a secretary, like a clerk, called a secretaria. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
And then I went to college and studied psychology. But the university I was going to was like expensive, and my salary wasn't enough to cover it. So I started selling shoes, avocados, queso fresco, and cream from my hometown,
Mm.
and that's how I managed to pay for school. I've sold a lot of different things. When I lost my last job here in California,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually how this business started. So every time I went on vacation to Guatemala, I used to bring souvenirs for my coworkers,
Okay.
and they were free, right? Just a gift. But they would like some items so much that they wanted me to bring back for their sister, their daughter, and I would charge for that.
Oh.
So
Mm-hmm.
during my last trip, or the trip when I find out I was gonna get fired, I had already bought a lot of necklaces for myself and for my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back, okay, I got this goodbye letter from my job. And I'm like, oh shoot. And I spent so much money on these necklaces that I really don't need. Okay. So I told them, look, I was gonna gift you this, but my situation right now, I can give it to you for free. But I need to get my money back. So what I
Mm-hmm.
can do is give it to you at cost. And sorry, no gifts this time. No, no, Chaparita, don't worry, we understand. And some of them gave me $5 more, 10 more, just trying to help, right? I'm like, oh, thank you. And they kept asking if I had more. I'm like, well, I have mine. I can sell mine. I sold my necklaces and earrings, and then they kept asking for more and more. So I asked my aunt to send me stuff, and that's how I started just selling
Mm.
these items until it became a formal business.
Wow. And is this your full-time business at the
Yes,
moment?
yes, it
How
is.
amazing. And how does that
Uh-huh.
feel for it to now be your
Great,
full-time? Yeah?
great. It's so healing. I never thought about it until I was preparing for this interview. I was thinking, you know what? I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for my business. Because that's how
That's
I've done a lot of things, like just different events or meeting great people through this business. And
wow.
I love it. And for a long time, I kept feeling like, okay, my job is good, they pay good, great benefits. I like it, but there gotta be more. I always felt like I was in this little box and I needed to just get out, and it was the box was too little for me. So I kept trying to get different degrees and I never finished anything because
Mm.
I always got bored. Like, yeah, information is nice, but do I really wanna keep pursuing this? No. So I know a little bit of everything, but I'm not an expert on anything. I'm like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. And
Yeah.
that was frustrating because I have my cousins who they have masters. I don't know how many masters. Now my nephew has so many masters and they're the manager of these, which is great. But I was feeling pressure. Like, how can I be like them?
Mm.
Why am I not like them?
Mm-hmm.
And it was always kind of embarrassing for me. Like, I don't have this big title. I don't, yeah, I studied psychology, but I don't work as a therapist. So I was like, oh, I always felt
Mm.
like something was missing, that I needed to do something. And now that I'm doing this thing, now that I have my business, is like, this is perfect. I don't need titles. I don't need masters. I don't need anything because I'm creative. I like colors. I like playing with textiles. And here I can apply all my different talents without
Wow.
having to be I don't know, the doctor, the engineer, I don't
Yeah.
even care anymore. It makes me so happy that I
Yeah.
don't care about titles.
I love that so much because you're touching on a point that I work on with like my one-on-one coaching clients a lot, which is defining your own version of success, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We focus so much on what the outside world tells us is success. Titles, degrees, and those may be important in some people's lives. And if that
Yeah.
makes your soul happy, awesome,
Go for
amazing.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yes, that's what I think like the point of it though is if it doesn't make your soul happy, then what does? And how can you reframe your goals in your life and where you're headed so that it aligns with what your soul wants instead of maybe what other people want, right?
Definitely. You know, there a couple of years back, it was right before the pandemic. I hired this business coach. He was good, really good, a lot of knowledge. But all the things he advised me to do, I was like, no, boom, no, no, no. And then my friends kept telling me, okay, why did you pay this guy to guide you, to advise you, if you're not gonna follow any of it? Like, oh, because I didn't think you wanted to change the whole thing, right? And one
Mm,
of the things he said is, okay, I check your Instagram page, and on stories you post a lot of personal stuff. And people don't care about what you eat. People don't care about what workout you did today or where you're traveling to or blah, blah, blah. So no more personal stuff. And I said,
mm,
well, but I'm not corporate America and I'm a small business owner. And he said, let me stop you. But do you want to stay small? No. Well, you need to stop doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. And then I made a video saying something about, I'm gonna stop sharing so much on stories, but I'm still here. If you wanna chat, go to my DMs, right? I got a lot of messages saying, what we like about your page is that we feel that connection with the human being behind the brand.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? They are right. That's who I need to listen to because those are my customers.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this guy might know a lot. He's great, but it's kind of like the definition of success, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
different for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of the success of my business is that I have that, let's call it, personal interaction with my customers.
Connection. Yeah.
So it's different for all of us.
in his world, he's looking for a set of results, and maybe it's not the results that you want. Like, for example, if he's looking for dollar signs, and profit margins and revenue and all of this stuff, maybe if you took the path that he's leading you down, at the end of the day, you would feel burnt out. I don't want to
Mhm.
do this anymore. There's no purpose in this. And so, taking the route that maybe your soul is asking you for, which is, hey, let's connect with the people that follow us. I care about my customers. They care about me. It's going to keep
Mhm.
you on the path,
Connected.
motivated,
Uh-huh.
connected. Yeah. In love with your business, right?
And that's what I love about this. I love hearing stories. It's like they buy a doll for me and they go, you know what? I used to have one of these when I was little. My grandma brought it for me from Guatemala and just sharing these memories. And I love that. I'm actually afraid of getting to a point where I cannot handle
Mm-hmm.
those DMs, that interaction. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
because people tell me also, well, you know what, you should hire someone to answer those messages. Like, no, that's my favorite part. You know? That's what I
Yeah.
really love.
Well, I think just making a note of what really impacts you in your business and knowing that as you grow, as I'm sure you will, and it's okay to grow, right? But don't push away growth. Just remember, I mean, this is, I don't know, like an intuitive advice.
Yeah. Take it
Don't
with open heart.
Yes, I don't push away growth, but just remember these are the parts that make me happy about what I do. So maybe someone can filter those messages and send them to you. And so you can respond to them, right? But you can still get the help, still get the growth, and also always connect to the heart of your business basically.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Another one of his advice was maybe change the models you use. Like try to show younger people, like lighter skinned people,
Mm,
and this and that. I'm like, whoa, you want to expand? I'm like, yeah, I want to expand, but I don't want to leave my people out.
mm,
And well, there's more money in other races. Don't mess with my Latinas. When we want something, we hustle. We find a second job. We do whatever it takes to get what we want. So that's one. And did you notice how intense I got?
yeah.
How passionate. And another one is you're thinking people who work in the fields or whatever, nothing wrong with that. They get their money, they pay for what they need. But we also have professionals making a good
Mm,
money. So
mhm.
I got very like, I no, mi hijito. No, don't leave
Mhm.
my Latina. Like they've been feeding me, they've been supporting me. I got to the point where I am because of them. I cannot leave them behind. I
Yeah.
cannot leave them out of the picture, literally out of the picture.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to just keep connecting with your heart constantly, constantly.
Yeah. And I think it reminds me that we need to pay attention to who we're listening to and the importance of having guides, coaches, therapists that share our story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Because or
I
leaders
understand it.
that understand and share our story because exactly they're not seeing what we see. They don't share the passion that we may have behind what we do, who we are, how much it's taken us to get to whatever space we're in.
Yes.
They see it through a very different lens. They may actually just feed you stuff that doesn't even feel good with your internal system, and where
Yeah,
you come from and what you do.
absolutely. You learn as you go. Now
Yeah.
I know. I'll be lying if I say I'm not here for the money, because hey, I need the money, but it's way more than that. It's a lot of healing. I remember how my grandma, my mom, my aunt used to spend hours, midnight or 2 a.m. sewing a piece or embroidering something so they could get some money to buy shoes for us, to just
Mm,
provide. So these pieces, I, I'm like, I can cry, but I'm gonna stop myself because it's very, to me, this is very emotional and sentimental. I know what these
Mm-hmm.
ladies, or at least I have idea what these ladies go through. And me buying 20 pieces from them might save their whole semester, you know? Behind this beautiful work, there's someone trying to feed their kids. So it goes way, way, way beyond money. Money is
Mm-hmm.
good, yes, welcome. I take it anytime, but it's just it's my culture. It's trying to heal my ancestors. So this beautiful talent doesn't stay in their village, in just the
Mm.
small country. We can share it to the world, and hopefully more people will come to them, and they will get bigger and make more money and have a better life.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I mean, I think it's the essence of your business, right?
It is.
It's yeah. And I think also it's important as Latinas and Latinos and Latines to remember that yes, money is also welcome, especially as what I see you as is a soulpreneur, right? You're kind of it starts
Mm-hmm.
from the soul and then it's a business essentially, but I think one important thing that I'm learning too as a fellow soulpreneur is that money should be welcome. We have
Yeah.
worked really hard to get to where we are. We do deserve, you know, to make a good income because sometimes the word humbleness can keep us not necessarily making what we should be, and we already come from humble places. We deserve to make a good income, you know.
Yeah, and honor them too. Recently, I went on this trip with my friends, and I didn't even tell my mom because the way she sees it is, ay, como que no te costara tu dinero para irte a gastar solo así. And I'm like, because I work hard, is that I have to do these things too. I have to enjoy. But the
Yeah.
thing is, when she found out that I was traveling, I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Okay, malgastando
Mm,
el dinero, blah, blah, blah. And then I got to a point where I was like, no, let me stop you right there. Okay, do you remember how hard you work? Do you remember this, that, the hustling, the pain? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, will I be honoring you, your hard work, your sleepless nights, if I stay the same way you guys were back then? If
mm,
you sacrifice so much, three of you sacrifice so much so we could have a better education, be exposed to different things, why would I stay there? You gave me all the tools. You
yeah.
paid pretty much with your life, with your health, with your sleep. For me to stay there? No, 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 no. I want to honor you, you and all my ancestors. And that's why I need to do something big. Go out, travel, enjoy my life, buy nice things because now I can do it. I don't want to stay in the same place because that would be a waste of sacrifices and work. Si lo
Yeah.
hicieron es para que hagamos algo so we could have a better life. And
Yes.
she's like, I guess you're right. But she didn't like the idea that I'm spending money.
No, that was so beautifully said. And it's so important. It's so important. I want to take notes of how you said that because it is. It's the point, right? And sometimes it's kind of like we forget that that was the whole point. I feel like sometimes in our own families we hear, "Ay, ya te crees mucho, mira que presumida." Like, what? Isn't that the point? We've been hustling, we've been do all the sacrifices that you
Yeah.
guys made that we made growing up. Yeah, so I'm glad that intuitively like you have this, you know, innate fire that's like, you know what, no, I deserve this. Because I bet you that there's unfortunately a lot of people, first gen or Latinos, that forget it, right? That are like, oh, they're right, I should be doing something different. Oh no, I don't deserve, I didn't do enough. And it's actually something that I've been really having to work through, is the idea of deserving more with doing less. It's been hard for me to adjust to that because I know what it looked like for my parents to get less, right?
Mhm.
How much
No,
they
I know.
did to make less. some of my family members are making what I made when I first started working. And they're 20 years, 30 years into the, I'm going to get
into the
emotional.
no,
Yeah, into
but
their job.
it is emotional subject, very
Yeah.
emotional.
And so to want to be a leader, to want to be financially abundant has been such a mind shift that I've had to make. It feels counterintuitive. It's kind of like I'm betraying in the weirdest way my parents or my
Yeah,
family, you know? Like how can I say, "Oh no, I deserve to make more" when I know they're still making less?
I I get it because it's a process. It took me a lot of, and I'm still working on that. It's not that I'm fully there. It took me a lot of therapy, a lot of writing, journaling, meditating, because it's still hard for me. So I needed a new car. My
Mhm.
car was just falling apart, like literally falling apart. But I'm
Okay.
like, it still works. I mean, why am I gonna get another car if it still works? I don't need a big car. I don't need a fancy car. But I always wanted this specific car I saw 10 years ago. And one of my cousins got it. And I'm like, one day I'm gonna have that same car. And he's like, sure, you can afford it. I'm like, not right now. I'm gonna get it. So I kept thinking about this car I wanted to get, but always afraid of getting it because I'm like, no me quiero meter a una deuda, and I don't have enough money saved. And once I was able to save enough money, I didn't want to put it all into a car, right? Like,
Mm.
oh no, I don't need a car, whatever. It wasn't until last year that I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. How am I ever gonna get better things? And when I say things, I mean in general, just relationships, business, health, and if I'm not open to it, I mean, God is the or the universe or whoever has been telling me you are ready, go get your car, and I'm like, I know, me da miedo. What if? What if something happens and I
Mhm.
already spent this money? Oh, you'll figure it out. So I finally got the car of my dreams, but I was afraid to drive it in front of my friends
Mm.
because I didn't want them to think that I me creo mucho ahora, que soy
Yeah.
presumida. So I used to park very far. Two friends that knew about my new car were like, why do you want to hide? Did you steal the car? Did you? No.
Exactly.
Well, then be proud of your achievements. But it's
Yeah.
it's a process. It's a lot of unlearning.
Unlearning, yeah. First, congratulations. That's a huge
Thank you.
achievement. Yay, to save my dream car and you got it. Woohoo. And second, I just want to put it out there to the community that is listening that I hope that we can start to change that. I hope that we can start being happy for the ones that we see succeed because it means that we can too, right?
It's
That we look.
available for us too.
Yes, that it's someone that's paving the way for something that you can get to. Because if we all hide our successes, then people are not going to think it's possible. Because, like you said, wow, full circle. Like you said, let's say your business coach or anyone that maybe looks at the Latino community as something that we're past already. There are professionals, there are millionaires, there are educated
Yeah.
people, highly educated people. So if those people are like, no, I can't show it, I need to be humble because everyone else is keeping you that way, then guess what? Everyone's going to keep perceiving us as
hmm
something that we no longer are. Whew, I
Exactly.
love this beautiful lesson for all of us.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, with that being said, can you tell us more about what you're currently doing, if there's anything new that you'd like to announce, and also where people can find you?
I'm working on making my business grow and giving more back to the community. I want to start. This is something I was doing during the pandemic, but then I don't know how I fell off of that train. But I want to start having live interviews, kind of like a little podcast, but live on either TikTok or Instagram, where I
Mm-hmm.
can introduce you guys to other small business owners.
Okay.
And that's one thing. I am gonna be launching this big collection of earrings with textiles. You can
Ooh.
find me under SAVIAGUATE and all social media platforms. My website is saviaguate.com, and I'm also on Etsy under SAVIAGUATE. So everything SAVIAGUATE.
So the next set of questions are going to be a little bit quicker. One of the things that I like to do is leave people off with some resources. So I would love to hear, what is one of your favorite maybe healing or mindful tools?
It really changes depending on my mood. But one thing that it always works is going on walks. Nature is
Mm,
great for me. I just feed off of nature. I go to the beach. I live in San Diego, so I'm 15 minutes away from
wow.
the beach, so it's just heaven. I live
Heaven.
3 minutes away from a lake, and that's what I do every morning just to recharge. Mainly that.
Mm,
But I love painting. I'm not an expert, but whatever I do while I paint, it just relaxes me a
yeah.
lot.
Creativity, I think, is so important to connect to your inner child, your inner
Ajá,
self.
la niñita,
La
bailar con ella,
niñita.
dancing is great. Yeah,
What is a habit that you do for yourself every day?
I'm back to reading finally after a long break. Right now, I started reading You Sound Like a White Girl, and I'm loving it.
What about a song that you listen to when you need to feel like a little pick me up?
This is gonna sound really crazy because it's not a happy song at all. I don't know if you heard it before. It's Glitter in the Air by Pink. It's a really
Mm,
sad song that talks about being alone. Uh, but I like it because that's a song that I used to hear a lot when I was in this very dark moment in my life. Used to cry a lot, used to hate life, used to question if my life was gonna be like that for the rest of my life, right?
mm,
So I like that song because it reminds me of you have been in a very dark place and you
mm,
survive and you thrive. So, usually people choose a very happy song, but to me it's the opposite. It's like, yeah, I know.
yes.
I'm gonna survive. Voy a
Yeah.
salir de esta. Yeah.
Wow.
Ironic, but a sad song helps me a lot.
Yeah, sometimes I mean, there's a lot of power in those dark moments. And one of them can be use it as fuel for the moment you're in now. Favorite quote or advice that you have received?
My favorite quote, and I want to even tattoo it on my arm, is I'm my ancestors' wildest dream and the answer to their prayers. And when I say that phrase, I feel so proud of them and proud of myself. Finally, I'm not at that stage where I can say, I'm proud of them, la niñita, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just love that phrase.
What is an influencer or someone that you listen to that always leaves you inspired?
The biggest influencers for me are people from real life, people
Mm,
I know personally.
mm-hmm,
My cousins, I have two cousins. They're just great. They're so giving. So I always look up to them. A lot of small business owners that just keep finding challenges, and then I don't know how they do it, but they keep going and thriving. And that's just so very inspiring. But I think my biggest influencer is my niece. She
hmm,
is one of my nieces. She's 5 years old.
mm-hmm.
And I swear that's who I aspire to be.
Wow.
Uh, I mean, we lose it. I don't know when we lose it, but she raised her voice. She gives her opinion, and she's kind. She's so giving. Her no is no, and her yes is yes, and that's
Mm,
something I really want to learn about her and about anyone who is true to themselves. I struggle with that because I don't
yeah,
want to look like the mean person.
yeah.
So if you were looking for another phrase I love is que tú sí seas sí y que tú no seas no.
And I think also just in mentioning your niece, it's important to remember that there are teachers everywhere, that
Mhm.
we don't have to just look to social media or people that are doing better than us, that the people that you run into on a day to day basis have a lot to teach you. Because going back to creating your own idea of success, in some way, I think we become numb to anyone who's not doing really good. And we see them as sometimes less than or not wise. But I think it's completely the opposite. There's so much wisdom in every corner that you look, especially as an empath, I think. That's probably why too. But whoever I talk with, I always learn something from them. I'm always
Absolutely.
learning.
El elotero. You have
Mm.
no idea how big my admiration is from the guy selling elotes because he already knows what I like, how much chile I like in my elote, and those are small details. That's
Yeah.
customer service. That's great customer service, you know.
Yeah.
On TikTok, Silvana, she started just sharing cooking recipes, and now
Mm.
she's just this big Latina influencer. So people criticize her a lot. I don't know her personally. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they criticize her a lot because now they say, "Oh, se te subió," you know, the typical.
Mm.
You were just cooking and cleaning houses, and look at you now. You're at the Grammys, or she's being invited to a lot of big events, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, that's how you do it. You still clean houses, you still cook, but if you get invited to this nice event, you go and represent and tell the people it is possible. You
Yeah.
just have to be yourself, be authentic.
Salsa verde o roja?
Oh no, why? No, both. No, maybe verde. That's
Verde?
a tough one. Depending on el taco lo dice todo.
Ah.
Verde.
Esta pregunta está hecha para dividir.
Okay, okay, no
Es
mezclemos,
una
digamos.
pregunta polémica.
Ay.
¿Horchata o Jamaica?
Oh, horchata. Horchata.
Horchata, okay. ¿Reggaeton or hip hop?
Hip hop. And they're gonna hate me, but it's okay. It's the end of the video.
So no Bad Bunny in your house?
No, well,
No?
yeah, but it's
Yeah,
not
not
my
your
main
favorite.
playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. ¿Concha de vainilla o chocolate?
Vainilla.
Vainilla. Y what is your taco order?
Ooh, you really want to hear my taco
I do.
order? Okay. Dos al pastor, uno de lengua, uno de tripa, uno de buche, uno de cabeza. That's to
Ooh.
start.
¿Con
Con
sal?
todo, salsa aparte.
Okay.
Sometimes it's too spicy, and yeah, I'm not used to like the spiciest salsa, so I
Okay.
always order on the side just so I can add it to my. Never order carne asada or chicken because I'm like that. I can
Mm,
get that at home. I make that at home,
it's too
right?
basic for you.
It's too basic. So I go for tripa, cabeza, suadero. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
adventurous when it comes to food. Very adventurous. Very adventurous.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your taco order. I know that's personal, nah? Okay. And last but not least, this is finish the lyrics. So, si una vez
Uh,
dije que te amaba.
hoy me arrepiento.
Okay, what about Oye, mi amor?
No me digas que no. Y vamos usando las
Los
puertas.
cuerpos. And the last one is Y volver, volver.
Oh, volver a tus
Tus
brazos
brazos
otra
otra
vez.
vez.
No daría más.
Woo! 100 de 100. Perfect
Now we
score.
need tequila.
Yeah, now we need tequila, exactly. Well, I just want to tell you thank you so much for taking the time to be on First Gen Healing podcast. I had a blast. Thank you for sharing your story and for what you do. I think it's important. I think it's important that we bring our cultures to here, but with a lot of respect and love. And I think that that's exactly what you're doing. So, yeah, thank you
Oh,
so
thank you.
much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be in your space and share my story. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. And to those of you guys listening or watching, if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure that you like it, that you share it with your amigas, amigos, amigues. And if you're looking for coaching support, I do have some one-on-one availability. So make sure that you're following me on Instagram or TikTok at FirstGenHealing, or you can send an email to info@firstgenhealing.com. First Gen, remember, I love you, I love me, and I can't wait for you to love yourself.